Good afternoon, friends. So let's begin with today's agenda. As you all can see that today we will be taking care of the topic percentage. This is one of the very important topic in the sense that percentage, right? I think from third standard or so we have been doing it, right? But when it comes down to application, many a times maybe in writing or maybe the way we represent or maybe in terms of shortcuts, right? Somewhere we may get stuck. So again, today we will be taking topic with the help of the questions itself, so that whatever the theory we must know, at the same time we will be applying it as well. Okay, fine. So and this is again one of the reason why you should really work on this, because this topic is not actually a standalone topic. Percentage is one concept which gets mixed with, or it comes in a connection with many other topics, maybe in geometry or maybe in data interpretation or maybe in speed, time and distance questions, right? So percentage is going to play a very crucial role. So friends, we have to be extremely comfortable with this topic. It may happen, right, while practicing, say as I mentioned few of the topics, right, or topics like speed, time and distance, or so when you are doing the questions from percentage, you may get the question of percentage with respect to the application in geometry, or with respect to the application in speed, time or and distance, or with respect to any other topic. At that juncture, in case if you are not in a position to solve the question, simply don't drop the topic of percentage, that I am not comfortable with percentage. Don't come up with this conclusion. It may happen initially when you are having say 100 questions with you. In the first round, you may be in a position to do say 50 or 60 questions. Fair enough. As on we will be progressing, we will be doing more topics. Understanding with respect to those topics would be getting more clear, and after that again when you will be coming back to the topic of percentage, instead of 60 it will move on to 70 or 80, right? See, you didn't practice the percentage again. It is just because the other concepts were more clear. Now you could do the questions and you could apply the concept more clearly, and your overall performance is increasing. So in a nutshell, friends, what I am trying to say is the series of sessions which I am taking, right? The whole purpose is that by the time I cover 12 or 15 sessions with the different topics, right? Okay, till that point of time, hold your patience, keep on practicing. Don't conclude that whether you are comfortable with this particular topic or you are not comfortable with this particular topic. Getting it right? When you will be going through all the 12 or 15 topics which I'll be covering, after that you would yourself would be seeing it that these maths questions are not independent ones, right, with respect to the topic. The good level questions, right, where really the application is required, will always be the connection or the mixture of 2 or 3 concepts. So I hope you are getting my point very well, right? So let's begin with today's topic, that is percentage. With respect to percentage, certain things we already know. We know what is percentage, right? Percent means per 100. And why we use it? Since childhood we have been taught that percent, that is per 100, if we bring the things, right, it is easy for us to compare. Somebody is getting the marks say 30 out of 65 and somebody is getting 10 out of 20. Right? So whose performance is better? How do we compare that? So we bring both on the common platform of 100 and then we see who has got more percentage of marks. Right? So this is what is the very basic understanding we have with respect to percentage. Right? Before we move on to the questions, fine, we will be having some small, the things which you should remember. In case if you remember, your, performance level would be increasing. Otherwise, it will take its own period of time. It's fine. You take your time, but you should. I'm talking about first of all this table. Yes, friends, I always insist that you should have a printout of this chart where where it is visible. taking a printout and putting it somewhere where you hardly see it, then the purpose is not getting served, right? So you take out this printout. Why it's so important? You can see that the table what it is conveying, right? Say for example, if I take it 1, so 1 by 1, 100%, because fractions equivalent percentage, if we can relate these two, I think 50% of our calculation parts gets reduced. Yes friends, and I will try to show where all it is visible. Okay, fine. But say for example, if someone's the work is getting reduced by say 1 by 8, so how much percentage it is getting? So 1 by 8 it is 12.5. So 1 by 2, 50%, 1 by 3. So few of them we know very well. But friends, if possible, you try to memorize as many equivalent fractions as possible, so that it helps you a lot in reducing the calculation part. Okay. Same is the case over here. I am showing you another table. This is the percentage increment decrement. Say for example, if there is an increment, or a typical question where we see it, that if A's salary is increased with respect to B's salary 50% more, then by how much percent is B's salary less, right? There are multiple ways of doing it, and I will be showing you the multiple ways of doing it, and you follow whichever way you are comfortable with. But if you again remember this, I'll be referring this table again and again, so that you would you can associate yourself with the chart, that how this is usable. This is one of the usable chart, right? And again, it will help you a lot in reducing the calculation part. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see how these fraction equivalents and this increment decrement thing helps us in getting the answers. Okay, so we will be like going with the questions. A very good afternoon to once again each one of you, right? So let's start with the questions so that we can do the concept easily. Okay, fine. So very first, on a typical question, right? A's income is 40% of B's income. So for the beginner who is watching the concept of percentage for the first time, we should understand that here A's income is 40% of B's income. Means we are dependent on B's income. We can assume in percentage, we should assume the value of B as 100, because A is being dependent on B. That's why we assume the value of B. Generally we say that, ma'am, even we can assume the value of A. No, A is dependent on B, so better you assume the independent value as 100, and hence the salary of, right, or the income of A is going to be 100. And I hope I don't have to help you out in doing the calculations, right? How to find the 40%, 50%, 70%, right? Okay, so 140 is the thing. Okay, now if B's income in rupees is 25,140, then what is A's income? Okay, so here you could have gone with, right, writing it A and B. So if A's income is say B's income is 100, at that time A's income is 140. Now the B's income has been given to you 25,140. So what is going to be? This is the unitary method, and most of the time I apply this method. Okay, most of the time I apply this unitary method. Or we could have written in the theory way as well, that 140% of X is this. So even that theory could have worked, right? But this is the easiest way with which we can calculate it. Fine. Okay. So this is how we are supposed to. And yes, many of them have already been with the answer before I complete my question. Very good. So very simple, right? How to write this? So most of the time, if there are only two parameters, right, on the unitary method basis also, we can solve it without actually making the equation. Okay, fine. The second question, again on the similar lines, right? Fine. Here the question is, A's salary is 20% more than B's salary, right? So if I assume B 100, then in that case A is going to be 120. Okay, by what percent is B less than A's salary? So one way of doing would be that here the difference between A and B's salary, right, the difference is of 20, and by what percent is B salary less than A salary? See, less than A salary. So the difference we have to compare with respect to A salary. Okay. And what is A salary? The A salary is 120 and hence I am getting 1 by 6. And the moment I am getting 1 by 6 over here, if I refer the previous charts, right, I would straightway get the answer as 16.67%. So I'm not going to, otherwise I was supposed to, yes Devashri, otherwise I am supposed to write 100% and then I calculate and then I get the answer. But you can see that over here itself, because if I know the equivalent fraction percentage, straightway I am getting the answer. This is one way of doing it. There is another way. There is another way. You have to just see that which method you are comfortable with. Say, B salary was 100. It increased to 120 because there was an increment of 20%. And then we have to come back to, we have to compare it with this A salary. So we have to again bring this 120 to 100. So this is another way of understanding. Calculation still remains the same only, right? So bring it to 100, right? We have to reduce 20 points with respect to 120, right? So if you go by this understanding also, you are getting the answer as 20 by 120 and you are getting the answer. Again, it is going to be the same thing, right? And there can be that percentage increment, decrement as well, right? So if I refer the chart, right? Okay, so if I would have gone, 20%, if there would have been increment, it is not mentioned, but you should even go for that. So if something is like 1 by 5, then it is going to be, if it is an increment of 1 by 5, the decrement is going to be of 1 by 6, that is 60%. You can even observe it. See, the increment is of 50%, 1 by 2, the decrement is 1 by 3. If the increment is 1 by 3, the decrement is 1 by 4. So even here also you can take a clue that if the increment is of 1 by n, if the increment is of 1 by n, right, in terms of fractions, okay, you can convert it into equivalent percentage, then the decrement is going to be of 1 upon n plus 1. This is also you can generalize. So with this thing also, straightway you can have the answer with you. Okay, fine. So I hope this is clear. Both the methods, in fact all the three methods are clear. Writing in a traditional way and going with this understanding that we have increased to 120, we want to bring it back because we are comparing it with respect to B only. We want to find it of B only. So how much of A has to be reduced to bring it back to 100? So this is another way. And if it is simply you want to mark up the method, then if it is getting increased by 1 by n in terms of fraction, it is going to decrease by 1 upon n plus 1. You can even memorize that as well. Okay, and 1 by n. So here also it was like 20 by this 1 by 6. So 1 by 5, right? So answer you are going to get 1 by 6. So 16.67. Alright, all the three methods clear? Okay, fine. Moving on to the next question. Okay. The price of the petrol increases by 30%. By what percent should a motorist reduce his consumption of petrol to keep his expenditure constant? So again, now here I will introduce one more way. What it is? Okay, the price, if I could, okay. So we know that expenditure constant. So we know that price into consumption is going to give me expenditure, right? Unit price into the consumption is going to give me the expenditure. So here one new way of doing this question would have been that if I introduce, let the price of the petrol be 10 rupees per liter and we were consuming 10 liters. Then the expense was 100. I always try to put 100 into the picture because the moment I do this now, it's easy for me to directly get the answer. Instead of this, you could have kept, x and y also. But I always keep on telling, as far as possible, just keep x and y's away so that, you are very confident of what you are doing it. So here 10 rupees per liter, 10 liters, so 100 rupees was the expense. Now the price of the petrol increased 20%. Okay, the price of the petrol. So instead of now 10 rupees, you are paying how much? You are paying 13 rupees. And we have to keep the constant expenditure constant. So here it is going to be 100. So what is going to be the value of this consumption? So you are going to get, so this is again the method, but then by how much it should reduce. So you have to subtract from 10, whatever the value you are getting of X, you have to subtract from 10. That is what you have to answer. But then, okay, this is also one of the method of doing it. Okay. Instead of that, again you can do it that from 100, it increased to 130. So from 130, if I want to bring it back to 100, so it is going to be how much? 30 upon 130. So that is going to be how much, right? So I should know how much is 13%, or say 1 by 13, right? If I know 30, if it is 7.7, approximately 7.7, right? Then 3 into 7.7 is going to be approximately 21 point something or 22, and I can come to the answer. Is it clear? So even with this method also we can do it. Clear? So so if we know that if 1 by 13, I think I have bugged up this value at 7.7, right? But if I go with this, then it is 3 by 8. So if I multiply by 3, 21, 23 point, okay. So 23 point something is going to be the answer. Alright, fine. So this is how we can do it. 23 point, yes, if I am putting 7.7 and Devashri is getting 23.08, here it is a matter of, exact fraction you should remember. Alright, fine. Equivalent fraction, if you a percentage you remember, then you are going to get the right. But fine, at least you are very close with the answer. Okay, so this is the another way of doing this question. Okay, fine. All right. Moving on. So this is again one of the variety of the question. The price of the commodity decreases by 20%, right? So if it is 100, it is getting decreased, right? And now it is becoming 80. By what percent should the user consumption of the quantity be increased, so as to keep the revenue constant? Again, you can have the same concept also, price into consumption, right? 10 into 10. You can make it 100, and over here now it is 8. So 8 into what is going to be 100, and so on. So you are going to get the value of X as 1 by 8. So it's going to be 12.5, right? But you were using it 10 liters, right? So now you are increasing it, fine, by 25 thing. I mean 2.5 liters is getting increased, you find. But if you go by this, so 80 and 80, again you want to bring it to 100. So it's going to be how much? 20 by 80. That is going to be 1 by 4, that is 25%, right? So and you can also use this thing if the commodity decreases by 20%. So 1 by 4, it increases by 1 upon n plus 1. So that is 1 by 5. If here the ratio is getting reversed, okay, so we have to decrease by 1. Over there it was increment, so I was showing you decrement. There is another one where you can show it the decrement. So in minus k terms, there will be an increment. Fine. So this is 25%. Okay. Fine. All right. Clear? Moving on to the next question. Friends, I would really appreciate you pause over here. I mean, I'll be giving you a minute to solve this question. A beautiful question, right? Where you would realize actually are you in a position to apply the concept which you know so far. Okay. So friends, I'm giving you a minute to solve this question. Yes, friends. So, are we ready with the answer? Yes, friends. So, I think most of you have done this, but I haven't received any answer yet. This is actually the real application, this question. Perfect. Shivam, you have got the right answer. So, you have, fine. Let's see. So, Somaya generally spent rupees 100 for buying a month's provision of potatoes. However, lower yield this year caused the cost of 1 kilogram of potatoes to be increased by 60%. Okay, fine. To be increased by 60%. So, can I say that if it was of 100, it got increased to 160. So if I have to bring it back to 100, I would come to know by what percentage, right? Because here what was the cost of the potatoes this year? So I am assuming it that she is still going to buy for rupees 800 only, right? So I have to keep the constant, the expense constant. I have to bring it back to 100. So in that case, if I see over here, so I have to reduce 60 points with respect to 160, which is going to be how much? 3 by 8, right? And I know that 1 by 8 is 12.5% and hence 3 by 8 is going to be 37.5%. It means that I have to reduce the consumption by 37.5%. But we have already been given that Sumaya had to buy 30 kg less. So can I say that 37, or I would not write even 37.5 also. I would write as it is 3 by 8 of the original quantity is 30 kg. This means that the original quantity which I used to buy was 80 kg. Correct? So far so good? Right? But this year, because of the increase in the price, I have bought 30 kg less, means I have purchased this 50 kg. Fine. And the question is, what was the cost of the potatoes this year? So, here I could have potato 800 divided by, and this year I am purchasing how many kgs? I am purchasing 50 kg, right? Because 30 kg less. So, if I divide by this, I am getting the answer as 16 rupees. Clear? Right? So, see, you can see that how beautifully, if you understand the concept, you can apply step by step. If you read the question line by line and you interpret it in the right aspect, that is in the right way with respect to the mathematical understanding, then very easily we can solve this question. Otherwise, we'll keep on, if you see if anybody, has a book with respect to you can see that the way they are solving, right? It's the the written method is not so simple the way we see it over here. All right. Okay. Fine. Let's move on to the next question now. Yes. So I'm giving you a minute. Solve this question. Yes. So let's see. if A would have obtained 100% more marks than what he actually obtained, okay, 100% more marks than what he actually obtained. So, do we know how much he has obtained? If I see the whole question, anywhere mentioned how much is obtained? No. So, if we don't know that, we can assume the value as X, right? Suppose, but then how much did he actually score in percentage term if passing percentage is 40%? Okay, now everything is in percentage now. So as I said that if nothing is mentioned, I also assume the value as 100. So that's easy for me to calculate. Okay, so let's assume the total marks, that is the paper, was of 100 marks. Okay, so now if we assume, right, that he obtained 100% more marks, so if he obtained X, right, then he if he would have wanted 100% more, then in that case 100% more means what? You have to double it, right? He would have still fallen short of passing marks by 2%. So whatever he has obtained plus whatever he is short of, if I add these two things, this is going to be equal to the passing percentage, right, or the passing marks. Fine. So he is short. So we have assumed this 100, right? So let's say 2%, okay, is going to be 2 marks. This should be equal to the percentage 40%. So since we have assumed the marks to be 100, it should be 40 marks. So can I write that 2x plus 2 is equal to 40 and hence x is equal to 19, or in terms of percentage, it's going to be 19%. Very good. Kamlesh, please let me know where you goofed up. Okay, fine. Rest of all of you have got the right answer. Very good. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the next question now. Yes, yours is again the question. You have to do it in a minute. I'm giving you a minute to solve this question. Okay, let's see. So the Indian cricket team won 50% of the matches played in the first 2 weeks. For many of us who are not well acquainted with the games or the rules or the way they, we may drop the question there and there itself. Right, friends, I would really request that you in logical reasoning or say in mathematics, right, in quantitative aptitude, you may get the questions, with respect to cricket or say with respect to tennis or for that matter, the points, team A. So there is a group A playing versus group B, and then there are some criteria through which they would be, moving forward. Or the games of cards, right? The points you get, fine. You should be comfortable because actually there is no need that you should know all the rules. But in case you do it, you become comfortable. Then in that case, with respect to question, it is easy to comprehend the things, right? Let's come back to this question now. So the Indian cricket team won 50% of the match played in the first 2 weeks of the NatWest series in Australia. However, at the end of the series, its success rate was, the success was 75%. If the Indian team had played 6 matches in the first 2 weeks, and we know that they have won 50% of the matches. So the matches played and the matches won. So in the first 2 weeks, how many matches were played? 6, and we won 50% of it, right? So we have won 3 matches. These are the winning, okay? And they won all the matches they played after the 2 weeks. The series in first 2 weeks, the data is this. After that, the series, whatever the series, the number of, so we don't know. So we played say X matches and we won all this. This time it was in first 2 weeks, the scenario was very different, right? In the Australian test series, okay, but fine. And we won all the matches. And at the end of the series, means the total matches played, the total number of wins we have, the success rate was 75%. Means that it is 3 plus x upon 6 plus x is equal to 75%. And can I take the liberty to write directly as 3 by 4? Fine. And from here, right, now it's up to you. You want to cross multiply and directly get the value of x, you get the option, or there can be the people who would think that no ma'am, who would do all this calculation? Let's go by option. So the choice is yours, right? If I go by option, I put the value of a as 6 over here. So then 3 plus 6 is 9 and 9 plus 6 is 15, right? And this is, am I what supposed to get over here? See, what I am getting is 3 by 5, right? And this is 60%. Where I moved up? Well, you are giving me the answer as A6. But I am not getting 75%. Am I getting 75% over here? Yes, friends, you gave me the answer, right? Find the total number of matches they played after the first 2 weeks. Six plus 6, 12. Correct. Fine. See, if I am putting the value of x over here as 6, then here it should have not been 15. It's going to be 6 plus 6, and that is going to be 12, right? And hence it is going to be 3 by 4. Okay. So friends, why I do this thing? You could have observed this thing. Yesterday though, I made one in my previous session. I made one mistake, but here you can see that this also happens. And since it is A, B, C, D option, and we are in a such a haste to finish it off, right? That even after the question, first of all, the kind of pressure we have, such a long question, somehow we try to figure it out, and then there can be a goof up in writing, and then also we can land up with the wrong option. Right? And the best part is, if every time the fifth option is none of these. Right? So, in that case, if 60% was there, I would have left this. And for sure, after putting the value of B, C and D, it was not going to match. So, my E option, that is none of these, would have, actually satisfied my requirement. And then we feel, oh, I did right. But when it comes a result, we see that the score is down. Devraj, this is a very subjective question there, but yes, I would say that if it is really, if we can figure it out that it is really very long or very time consuming, with respect to CLAT, you can take that call, okay? Find that if you want, but then as I said, this answer that if it is very long or time, the definition of time consuming varies a lot. For few people, the length of the question itself can be time consuming. For someone, the interpretation and putting it in equation can be time consuming. For someone, calculation. So Devraj, you can see to it, right? But I cannot give you the answer to this question. Okay, let's move on to the next question now. Today we are doing the basics, friends. I have tried to come up with a variety of questions, and through that discuss with you the concept of percentage. Okay, so let's focus on this question now. Yes. Since the price of the sugar reduced by 20%, Rohan was able to purchase 10 kg more for rupees 80. What was the original price per kg of the sugar? Okay. Friends, I always tell my students that, when they are not in a position to do the such kind of question, I always tell that, we talk a lot about, abroad studies, ma'am, over there, the study is good and, it is more practical and the approach is, very understandable and this and that. This is, what I listen from my student. So I always say that, okay, fine, yeah, because over there, the people do service. Okay, so even we can do this thing in India, right? We can also do one thing that rather than learning the percentage on paper of increase, decrease, if somebody is asking for 200 grams, what should be the price? Because we will also be learning, profit and loss, right? So better we do one thing, we give a free service to our Kirana store nearby for a month. And believe me, your 50% of understanding with respect to maths will increase. Right? Why? Because practically you are doing it. Fine. So you can think of it on a serious note of doing a community service. Okay, fine. But alright, let's do it over here. So since the price of the sugar reduced by 20%, Rohan was able to purchase 10 kg more for rupees 80. Let me first of all make you understand the question over here clear. Right? See, it is fixed. You have to spend 80 rupees only. Say, right, I give you 120 rupees and you have to purchase the Maggi ka packets. Now you see the question, the same question I can, interpret that earlier out of 120, the packet, out of 120 rupees, you were in a position to purchase, just 10 packets. But then you are very, friendly with that shopkeeper, and because of that from 120 rupees now you are in a position to purchase 12 packets. So by what percentage the price has got reduced or at increase? So easily you can relate with this question because you can see the packets of Maggi, right? Similar thing you should do it over here also. Say there were 80 rupees, it is fixed, and out of 80, if the reduced price, let the price, okay, the unit price be X rupees, then you are reducing it by 20%. So you are charging how much? 0.8 of X. Yes. Because 80 rupees divided by the unit, the unit price. What I am getting? I am getting the quantity. Here the question is in terms of 10 kg more. It means that here it is, the question goes like this. Question is that the difference of the two quantity purchased is 10 kg. Okay, this is the basic understanding. The difference, because whenever we look up to the question, somehow we should be in a position to form the equation. So the equation says over here that earlier the quantity which you were purchasing, the later with the quantity which you were purchasing, there was a difference of 10 kg. Okay, but then what is quantity? How do we get the quantity? Then the amount divided by the unit price. This is what is going to give me the quantity. 120 rupees. The Maggi ka packet 10 rupees, so you are getting 12 packets. Do I have to teach you this? No. It is a fundamental thing, right? But when it comes down to anything else, I have to teach you, right? See the irony. Anyways, so 80 rupees. The reduced price is this. This is giving me the quantity and this is also giving me the quantity. So this is one method, friends. This is just I am showing you. This is what is the question. This is what is the understanding. And when it comes down to solving part of it, I am going to take 80 common and it is going to be 10 upon 8x minus, and this is going to be 10. And now you can see that it's so easy to solve because if I can cancel this thing and if I take the LCM as 8x, then it is going to be nothing but 8 into 8 minus 10. That is going to be 8x, which is equal to 1, and hence x is equal to 2. So what is x equal to 2? Many of you have already given the answer. X is equal to 2 is, that is, it is the unit price. So what is the understanding of the question? Okay. Now let's take another way of solving the same question. I'm just doing it another way because as I said that I myself generally don't like to use this value of X, right? Okay, so say for example, in 80 rupees, I take the first option. So out of 80 rupees, if I take it, what was the original price? Here it is the original price. So say it was option number A, 4 rupees. So 80 divided by 4, how many per kgs I was in a position to, purchase? 20 kg. Now if I reduce the price by 20%, so 4 rupees or 400 paisa, 80 paisa I have to reduce. So can I say that it is 80 divided by 3.2, or can I write 32 into 10? It is actually 3 rupees 20 paisa, but is taking care of the decimal. And hence what I am getting is 8 tens are, 8 fours are, and 100. So what I am getting is 25. See friends, if the original price is rupees 4, the difference which I am getting is 5 kg. But how much kg difference I wanted? 10 kg, right? So here also you can look at it. If I increase the price, right, the quantity in that ratio would be decreasing it, right? And hence if I want to double the difference, I'll have to half the price. So from here also I'm getting the answer, that the answer should be 2. Or else you could have continued with the options. You could have gone options you could have taken the options one by one, right? But here, because there are 5 options and all the options are in terms of value, bit of application and bit of theory quickly get to the option, right? So this is what would have been the catch point over here. Aditya Panchal, I hope it is clear now, right? Okay, fine. So you can see that here we could have done the question theoretically as well as doing it by the understanding. Next question, very simple. Try to do it without using pen or paper. Without pen or paper. Right? So Seema bought some chocolates. She distributed 25% of the chocolates among the students of the first standard. So now I am left with 75 chocolates. If I had originally 100, I am left with 75, right? And 20% of the remaining, here the catch point is remaining. So I am having 75 chocolates. Now from that, right, 20%. So 75 ka 20% how? 10% 7.5, 20% is going to be 15. 75 minus 15 is going to be 60, right? So now in my hand, I am having 60 chocolates. If still she had 240, if I had 100 chocolates, in my hand there are 60 chocolates. But actually I am having 240. So 60 multiplied by 4, 240, 100 multiplied by 4, 400. So how many initially I had? 400. See, we can do the question without writing it. Or else you could have taken the liberty that out of 100, I am left with 60 chocolates. Then if I have 240 chocolates, what was the original thing? Perfect. Let's move further. Question number 10. The hourly wage rate of a laborer have increased by 15%. Since the increase, the number of hours he works daily has reduced by 12.5%. If before the increase he was earning rupees 80 every day, find the amount he is earning after the increase, right? So how we are going to do this? We know that the number of hours we put, the number of, the amount we get per hour is going to be our wage. Simple understanding? Okay. So here, before the increase, right, he was getting 8 rupees before he was earning. So number of hours and the rate at which he was earning, in total he was earning 80 rupees. The hourly wage rate of a laborer have increased by 15%. Okay. So can I write this thing as 115 upon 100? of whatever the number of hours he was working earlier. Since the increase, the number of hours he works daily has reduced by 12.5%. So friends, here I can write this thing and take a subtraction and then, but instead of that, his hours has get reduced by 12.5%. But and I know that 12.5% is 1 by 8. So if his work has got reduced by 1 by 8 means he is working for 7 by 8 part of it, whatever the rate with which he was working earlier. So can I write that it will be 7 by 8 into whatever the rate he was getting, and now you write that 115 upon 100 into 7 by 8, and can I replace the value of h into r by 80? Correct? And see, just because of this one step, that instead of writing and getting the value by which it is reduced and then subtracting or finding it, I just did one thing, that the work reduced by 1 by 8 and hence is working 7 by 8. Directly I am getting the answer. 7 twice are 35. 80.5. Okay, fine. Alright, friend Aditya, see, what is the point I am making over here is, this is the very crucial step. See, the hourly wages rate of this thing, okay. So, say, the hourly wage rate, okay, of a laborer is increased by 15%. So, say the rate with which hourly rate he was getting was whatever he was getting, that gets increased by 15%. And the number of hours, whatever he was working earlier, has got reduced by 1 by 8. Means, if something is getting reduced by 1 by 8, it means that he is working for 7 by 8 of the hours, right? So, this is going to be 7 by 8 of hours. Okay, and then nothing, it is, I am simply substituting, because it was the multiplication. I was not bothered about which variable I am writing first, because it was multiplication, okay. And 7 by 8, and I am substituting r into h is going to be 80, and then I am getting the value as 80.5. Okay, is it clear now? Aditya Panchal, is it clear now? Okay. Apnitva, if you can just mention the question number, I can repeat that. Okay, fine. Anyways, and this is the question on which I am ending my session over here with the basics of percentage. Tomorrow we will continue with the more questions on percentage, right? And I'll be starting my question, the session with this question. Okay, fine. So be prepared with the answer and the logic as well. Okay, friends. So today what we tried to do was understand the basics of the percentage through the variety of questions. But tomorrow we'll be coming up with more questions on percentage with a little bit of higher, the application. Okay. On this note, I end my session over here. Thank you very much.